What's up everyone, Thralls Metal here once again. I'm the Croc Nick and I have a response video. So one of the fun things going on right now in the YouTube metal community is the 10 terrible albums that aren't Saint Anger, and I definitely wanted to chime in on this one because there's definitely some other notable turds, and for this one I wanted to sort of capture the same way I felt when I heard Saint Anger for the first time, which was, holy shit, what the fuck is this? Like, not the what the fuck is this, like, oh wow, this is really interesting and new. Like, dude, what have they done? And there are definitely some albums out there that I can think of that are on that level of awfulness, like legendary status. And there's definitely gonna be some obvious ones on here. I'm sure tons of people have already brought them up. I didn't watch any videos yet just because I didn't want to, get influenced by any other videos. I just wanted to go through and find ones that just generally irritate me in terms of how bad they are. So we're gonna get started with this, and we are going to start off with a pretty legendary one. I know it's on a lot of lists, and it should be Morbid Angel's Aluminum Anus, or whatever the fuck that says. I don't care, it's awful. This is one of the worst metal albums of all time. It might actually rival Saint Anger. That's a tough one, but terrible. The weird industrial bullshit in this. This came out in 2011, and if it came out in maybe 1998, I would understand why they did this. Like, oh yeah, they want to sound like Power Man 5000, except like a darker, edgier one. Who gives a shit? But at least then it would have made sense in terms of jumping on trends. This one just shit the bed in such a glorious fashion. The song Radical, oh my fucking god, that is one of the worst fucking songs I think ever written in metal, period. It's just Mountain Dew soaked edgy lyrics and just dumb as hell. And this band had a pretty illustrious career, kind of up to this point. I wasn't the biggest fan of Heretic, but, Gateways was great. Formulas Fatal to the Flesh, like literally the entire first 5 albums, I would say, solid stuff. Holy shit, this was so bad. And this kind of soured me on anything Morbid Angel for a while. Like, I didn't want to listen to the band in general, which I'm listening to them right now, but it's, Covenant, because that's awesome. But yeah, legendarily bad. This is still the copy that I picked up forever ago, and the only other time I listened to it was when we did the ranking, and somehow got worse. But yeah, this album is a steaming pile of horse shit, and God, just avoid it like the plague. But yeah, I mean, if you're curious and you've never heard this, go for it, I guess. Don't recommend it, but sure. The Haunted, Unseen. 2011 was a pretty dark year. This came out that same year as Morbid Angel, and yeah, I had high hopes for this one too because I like The Haunted, and they were on a pretty good run of albums, maybe a little bit more tame than what they were doing, but I liked the fact that there was experimentation in the band. They had a solid, like, thrashy, melodic death metal sound, and somewhere in there, they got bit by a rabid Linkin Park and released this. I don't know how to describe this other than, like, feels like rehashed new metal, and like they thought they were the Deftones, and they're not. Like, everything that was The Haunted about them just left the band, and we got a whole bunch of just messy, weird alternative tracks. Peter Dolving trying to do different things vocally, and I think this was mostly his push for a broader sound, and oh my god, it missed. This was one of the biggest disappointments of 2011 if it wasn't for Morbid Angel taking the cake, but luckily they got back to business. They got Marco back in the band, and they are back to being the Haunted that I love with their last 2 albums. But wow, this one was pretty damn bad. Again, these are things I don't recommend, but I usually say check them out. But again, check it out just because if you don't know, then you can listen to it and form your own opinion, and who knows, you might really like this. I don't at all. And I really have not gone back to it much since 2011, but if we ever do rank The Haunted, well, I'll have to listen to it. Anyway, check it out or don't. That's kind of the thing here. If you're curious what it sounds like, again, check it out, but don't recommend it. Ministry, Americant. Holy shit, this is a bad album. Came out in 2018. I had maybe marginally high hopes for this. This was, I believe, their first one on Nuclear Blast. Like, okay, he's got a new deal. Maybe he'll get inspired again. And generally, when there's someone in office that Al doesn't like, he does get inspired. The whole Bush era, like George Herbert Bush, he was writing some killer stuff. The whole W era, solid industrial thrash. There was a good run of albums there. Trump, he wasn't well liked by many people. But this was hot garbage. This was one of the most dull, boring listens I have ever had from Ministry. Literally every single song on here falls flat. And, you know, political leanings aside, if you don't like, you know, what Al talks about, you probably shouldn't listen to Ministry in general. But this was just bad across the board. Lyrically, musically, production was whatever. But God, I just can't believe they came out with this. And luckily, the new album, I really, really dig. Like, that is a return to form, and honestly, I was ready for Al to shit the bed again. But he didn't, and I can go back to forgetting this album exists, even though I bought it the day it came out because I'm a fucking sucker, I guess. I bought the two before it, and they weren't great. But this one is, I would say, the lowest in their discography if we had to rank them. I don't have anything good to say about this one. It's just fucking bad. But if you've never heard it, again, check it out and draw your own conclusions. But again, I don't recommend it. Just go listen to Psalm 69 and enjoy it because it's actually a good album. This, not bad. Horrible, in fact. Slayer, Diabolus in Musica. Man, nu metal. And we're going to get into that. Kind of bit this band reasonably hard. I mean, Stand of Mine, I know it has the stupid corn riff in it, and there are people that like it. I don't. That was pretty much a big slap in the face, because I was eagerly awaiting this one. I really like Divine Intervention, despite it being a little bit lower in my ranking. It's a good album. And the three albums that preceded, amazing. Like, at this point, Slayer really had not missed with any of their albums. And I thought about throwing Megadeth on here, just in terms of, well, the bad one that I own, which is Super Collider. I don't own Risk. I won't buy that album. I know it's terrible. But this one, I got the day it came out, and I had high hopes, again, because Slayer had been releasing good stuff, and this, once you get past Bitter Peace, which is probably my favorite track on here, it just takes a nosedive into just tepid groove metal, down-tuned, boring riffs. Almost every bit of intensity and urgency that was in the band, like their token fast sound, their energetic, in-your-face sound, is pretty much gone. It's just a boring album and a really bad gamble. I mean, you changed the iconic logo on here too. That's, you know, generally not a great sign there when a band changes a logo to something softer. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it's the logo for Metallica's Load, or this, which is just there. That's pretty much what I think about this album. It is just there, it exists, and those are some of the nicest things I can say about it. My least favorite one, everyone saw in the ranking, it's still that, and I'm glad they got their shit back together and wrote some better albums. God Hates Us All was a good return to form. Christ Illusion, I think, is underrated as fuck, but yeah. This is a blight in a pretty decent discography. But I know this album does have some fans. I think there's definitely a lot better in Slayer's discography, like literally everything else. But I get it, you know, different strokes for different folks. But yeah, for me, this is terrible, flat out. And yep, back to the pile. Korn, Path of Totality. Can we even call this a Korn album? Because, I mean, honestly, it feels like it was written by all the people it features. It's a dubstep album with guitars. They pretty much just had dubstep artists essentially write the music, it feels like. This is just bad. This is just a dubstep album, again, with guitars. The songs are just boring and poppy. There's just not much to this at all. I definitely see this as quite the gamble. They wanted to appeal to a different demographic. Why they had a solid fan base, and this one just kind of made everyone go, dude, what the fuck? But yeah, like literally every track features a electronic artist who, honestly, I feel did the majority of the writing. And as far as metal goes, like, yeah, this has some heavier moments, but a lot of this is just, you know, dubstep. So it sounds like someone throwing a keyboard down a flight of stairs and like, we'll record whatever noise it makes and then loop it. That's how I feel about dubstep. But yeah, terrible album. I mean, Korn definitely has some other albums that are pretty questionable, but this one stands out just because I think it's just kind of lazy too. Like, that makes it extra bad in my mind. And again, I bought this the day it came out and was like, you know, I'll check it out. I mean, I'll see what it's all about, and haven't listened to it since. And I thought about revisiting it just for the sake of this list, and yeah, no, I didn't. So back to the shelf it goes. Again, if you're morbidly curious as to what this sounds like, check it out. I mean, I'll probably leave links to all this stuff in the description for whatever reasons, you know, morbid curiosity mostly. But yeah, it's a fucking turkey. So yeah, to the pile it goes. Judas Priest, Nostradamus. Rock operas are not for every band, and yeah, this is 2 discs worth of really, really not good, super disappointing metal. I mean, I don't know, it's not particularly that heavy. It's more based on like the theatrics and such, and the whole concept of talking about Nostradamus, which, I mean, a ton of bands have done. It's really not like the most original thing to build a concept on, but I bought this, again, the day it came out, just because I like Judas Priest, and I was a big fan of Angel of Retribution. I thought that was a killer comeback. Welcome back, Rob Halford. We're gonna be on a tear of albums from here on in, and nope, they hit the brakes pretty damn hard on this one. This is not the ideal follow-up to a comeback album. In fact, this just screams kind of glamour project that should have been kind of just, I think, a Rob Halford thing, because I don't know if the entire band was on board with this, but it's just dull. There's not a single song in here that really grabbed me at all. And while I could have brought up Turbo or Demolition, because I don't really care for those albums either, I don't own those albums. This is the one I bought. Like, I knew Demolition was bad because I heard the singles, like, no. And Turbo, yeah, I know that album has its fans. I'm just not one of them. But this one is just such a giant misfire, and giant namely in the fact that it's 2 discs. I thought about bringing up Dream Theater's The Astonishing, or as I call it, The Admonishing. But this one, in terms of like disappointments, hit me harder because Dream Theater was really consistent at this point, and Judas Priest had just, again, launched a really cool comeback album. So yeah, this one sucks. It's 2 discs worth of suck, and I really wish I had positive things to say about it because I do love Judas Priest, but no, not this. Bad. Machine Head, Supercharger. Supercharged tank of bullshit. I hate this album. I bought this one, again, the day it came out. I actually didn't mind The Burning Red. My nu metal loving ass back in 1999 thought that album was pretty damn good, and honestly, some of it still holds up pretty well. I like one track on this, Bulldozer. It's the 2nd track after the pointless fucking intro, and everything after that just takes a shit on pretty much anything Rob Flynn had done to that point. Like, he had a lot of, you know, good albums. Those first 2 Machine Head albums, I absolutely love them. Stuff and Violence, awesome. This is just terrible. And while The Burning Red was a nu metal cash-in, at least he wrote some memorable songs. Like, literally every song in here is pretty damn forgettable, except for just being awful. The lead-off single, Crashing Around You, was just boring, and it got pulled because it had, you know, buildings falling in the background. That was right after 9/11, and God, like, Brown Acid. This is just so fucking bad. The lyrics are so damn dumb on here, and I know, like, Rob Flynn likes to write, like, you know, poetic, inspirational, I'm feeling this, whatever. These were just dumb. These were just dumb, like, American High, just talking about getting fucked up. I don't know. It just kind of became like every negative nu metal trope ever thrown into an album, and just bad songwriting. Like, dude, this was just horrible. And I have not listened to this pretty much since it came out, and that was in 2001. Except for maybe Bulldozer. I have jammed that track before, but I immediately stop it before it goes into another track because everything else on here is horrible. This is probably their worst album. I don't own Catharsis, but I have listened to it. It is cringe as fuck, but I think that one might be slightly better than this one. But that's like saying this piece of shit smells slightly better than this piece of shit. It's still shit. So, yeah, horrible album. Don't recommend listening to it, but I will leave a link to maybe the full album. I don't know. I don't recommend listening to it. But if you're curious and you have never heard this album, I kind of envy you, but I still say check it out for your own opinions. But yeah, bye-bye. Grave. Hating life. Hating the phase that this band was going through at this time. This came out in 1996, and this was the second foray into more groove metal territory. Soulless was definitely more groove metal, but it still had enough death metal elements. This one just shit the bed. They just kind of went for like the most boring groove metal they possibly could. The vocal style changed dramatically. It was more of just a shout, and it wasn't good. Much like the music he was shouting over, you know, all of it was just terrible on here, which pains me because I really love this band. I love Grave. Their early stuff was awesome. They had a great run actually here recently. Actually, I wouldn't mind a new Grave album if they get around to it, but my God, this was just bad. The production is pretty terrible too. There was what feels like zero care gone into this, both in terms of the songs, the production, maybe even the promotion. There's really not a single song in here that I like. All of it just falls flat. And honestly, I can still remember when I got this. So it was like, yes, I'm, you know, completing another spot in the collection for Grave, and then I jammed it, like, fuck, I'm glad I bought this used. I guess you could call it death and roll, but there's barely enough death to it, and it can just fucking roll down a damn hill for all I care, because it's just a bad album. There's really nothing salvageable on air. And yet again, well, all this is kind of proof that I don't really throw away anything bad that I've picked up, but it does just take up space on the shelf, but it does kind of complete the circuit in terms of Grave releases. This is pretty much the for collectors only. Like, if you get literally anything else in Grave's discography, you got a much better album than this. But yeah, don't recommend it again, but if you want to check it out, go for it. Don't think that it's going to be good, because it's not. But yeah, I guess check it out. In Flames, Siren Charms. I feel like there's a lot of In Flames albums I could bring up, but I had to think of the one that just completely disappointed me from start to finish. And while Sounds of a Playground Fading wasn't great, there might have been a couple of tracks in there I thought were okay. I don't like any tracks on this. This is where they pretty much just lost all like credibility in terms of like hope, in terms of hope for the old fans that the old In Flames sound was ever going to come back. It was probably this one that absolutely killed it. This is bordering on just alternative rock. I mean, it's still metal in parts. There's still some heavier vocals. The guitar tone's kind of just mud on here. It's just a bad album, and man, I love their early work. Early In Flames is still absolutely golden to me, and I'll even defend Reroute to Remain and Soundtrack to Your Escape to some extent. But once they hit a sense of purpose, it became harder and harder to defend, and then we hit this piece of shit, and I was pretty much done defending them, even though I did buy Battles after this. Like a fucking idiot. But I haven't bought anything since, just because I know they're not gonna do like anything remotely close to their classic sound. And this was pretty much proof of it. This is just boring as hell. Not a single song really stands out in here, unless it's just for bad song dynamics, terrible choruses. There's nothing good on this at all, except for maybe the packaging. I mean, the album covers, okay. I mean, it's good art. I'm running out of nice things to say already. I don't have any positive memories of this. It's still in great condition because I never got it out, because I listened to this maybe twice because I wanted to give it a chance, because I still wanted to defend In Flames, but this was the straw that broke, In Flames back, and I can't wait to put it away and never look at it again. This is just a flat out bad album, and I think pretty much the entire In Flames We Trust thing kind of died right here. But yeah, check it out, I guess, form your own opinions. But yeah, terrible. And finally, and this is something truly special in terms of just flat out awful music in general, we have Dislocated Styles' lone album, Pin the Tail on the Honky. Now, believe it or not, this came out on Roadrunner Records in 2001. And at that point, I still loved nu metal, and apparently I was stupid enough to buy it on that dumb fucking cover. And this is quite possibly the worst nu metal release I own. There might be some others that come close, but holy shit, this is bad. The dumbest lyrics, the fucking lamest production, like, it's just all the worst parts of nu metal wrapped up into one. Like, even if you hate nu metal, you have to lower the bar even more to actually get to this album, because this is terrible even by, like, shitty nu metal standards. And I do like some old nu metal, but this is fucking awful. I mean, literally, if you take a look at this band picture, which, make sure the glare isn't catching, there we go, that looks about right. Yeah, I should have known. I should have known, this is fucking terrible. There's literally nothing on here redeemable in terms of just music in general. This is just one of the worst things I own. And honestly, I totally forgot I own this, because when I cycle in new music, I just kind of grab a stack and kind of keep moving. And this one often gets lost in there. And when I saw this, I was like, holy shit. That might be one of the holy grails of bad and fucking cringy. I mean, in terms of Roadrunner stuff, I would rather listen to Nickelback's entire discography than actually listen to this another time, which I think the last time I listened to it was probably 2001. Flat out awful. One of the worst things I own, and I would get rid of it, but no one fucking wants it. This is one of the few albums I thought about, like, getting rid of. Like, you know, just going to a record store, like, give me like a quarter for it. Make it a shiny one, though. I at least want that. They wouldn't. It's not worth shit. No one wants this, and no one should, because it's just fucking awful. So yeah, this is quite possibly one of the worst things I own, period. And I finally found a reason to talk about it. So yeah, back to the pile to never be listened to again. So yeah, that was pretty much my take. There were some other ones I thought about bringing up, but you know, I had to get ones that I felt were as strong of a negative memory as Saint Anger was. And this is pretty much proof that you can hold on to negative memories pretty hard. In fact, that's kind of a thing with the brain. We hold on to negative memories much harder than positive ones, because I didn't actually have to take notes on any of this, because I remember like fucking musical trauma, especially that last one. But yeah, this was actually a pretty fun video to do, even though I had to go through some just terrible fucking music. But I mean, it gave me a chance to talk about some stuff that I don't like instead of gushing about stuff that I do like. But I encourage others to do this response. This was actually pretty damn fun. You know, we all have turkeys in our collection, and this is a good chance to talk about them and pretty much take a dump on some really, really, really bad albums. So, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there will be a link below. We also are getting near the end of our giveaway. We have about, I would say, 50 more people to go that need to subscribe, and we are at 7,500, so we can give away that stack of 8 CDs, including the new Cannibal Corpse. Holy shit. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this. This has been an amazing ride. I'm super happy that we made this mark. I can't wait to actually do another giveaway in the future, because I think 10K is actually possible. I really wasn't sure not too long ago, but it really feels like it's a thing that could happen. And it wouldn't happen without you guys, so thank you once again. But all you have to do to enter that giveaway is click the link below and make a comment on that video for the giveaway, and you are in. We also have shirts available, still kind of limited in sizes, but if you would like one and we have the size for you, hit us up on thrallsofmetal@gmail.com, send us a message, put shirts in it, and we will get back to you and hopefully sell you a shirt. So with that, I thank you all for watching, and we will catch you later.